Do you read it?
Of course I do.
Does that sound boring?
It happens to be the same this month as it was last year in the same month.
I feel like stuff looks different here. If there's one less table or something.
No.
Stealing this pen. What? Why are you bringing?
I wasn't sitting in that spot. Brittany, you gonna take the president's spot? Sean?
I don't know.
No, me, nobody needs me in charge of anything. I'm in charge at work and that's enough for me.
Anything else about baseball field?
They just took the trash really wasn't hot or strewed anywhere, they just took it from the rooftop all on the
So I pulled out the ceiling at night. I didn't think it was windy last night. Okay, so the picnic table, but got it. Yeah.
Hey, are we missing an application?
Who do you think?
Um,
Bert?
what'd you say?
Bert?
Yeah.
Man, you do some landscaping.
She asked me and I just
Yeah.
don't want it to be
Every
the.
time I drive out, it's a new pile of something.
Piles are done now.
I think it's good now.
Yeah.
I know I sent it to her, but I don't see anything in here, but I want to say she did apply.
I just want to make sure we don't miss it.
You texted her?
Yeah.
Sean's walking.
Kelsey must have left him.
I asked, he didn't want to be seen with me, so.
I
I'm
came
sure
around,
that's what he said.
I came around the corner, and all of a sudden I'm like, I thought it was a homeless guy for a second, this Sean. I wasn't gonna give him a ride, though, I don't do that.
Do we have executive session?
We can.
Okay. Is it on the agenda to do this whole thing in executive session?
No, actually, it doesn't need to be, but if that's what you guys want to do, I think that's fine. It's allowable under code, so when we get to that point in the agenda, we'll simply make a motion to go into executive session.
Okay.
And we can
We
even,
don't have to revise the agenda.
no.
Okay.
My only suggestion would be that if we do want to do that, take A and put it as the last item under new business.
Yeah, and I think that should be.
And then, Sean got two new items for new business as well. You know how far away Sean was?
I would say a couple minutes,
Okay.
quickly.
I'm fine waiting if you guys need to wait. We're fine.
I'd say he'd run, but looked like he was eating a banana as he was walking.
Well, then
So
we're
that's
told me,
about
Sean
how-
is popping a banana.
That's about as healthy as you get, isn't it, walking and eating a banana?
Things you know never catch me doing.
Yeah, we'll be walking eating a donut, that's kind of.
Yeah. Walking with my big cup of soda in the hand.
haven't seen Chris then?
Chris texted he will not be able to be here.
Here he is.
He's got some too.
But it's died though.
No, he's not doing
Wait on you, Sean.
His banana's gone though, so he's good. All right, let's call this meeting to order. Let's see. The additions and or approval of the agenda.
I have a few changes here.
Okay.
The minutes of the August 2 meeting, we can strike that. Since we didn't have a secretary at the last meeting, we don't have minutes.
Oh,
So we'll have to go back and do those from video.
okay.
So strike minutes under A under minutes. I would move park board member recommendation to the last item under new business.
Okay.
And as first and second under new business, I would do West Evergreen Park naming discussion. And the second was skate park. Sean, is that right?
Yeah.
And those would be the first and second items under new business.
Any other additions? All right, let's vote to approve.
I make a motion to approve the agenda, or
A second.
additions to the agenda.
All right, we have a vote and a second. Any opposed? All right, we're good. Let's see here, visitors, besides our mail.
Wait, tell me I like that, I appreciate it.
All right, old business, updates on the sign test.
Not a whole lot to update here, other than some of the work that's gone on this summer. The last couple of weeks we had the park kids around, they really kind of hammered home on a few things. Got the bleachers painted at the baseball field, fair amount of weeds pulled, not nearly all of them, but a fair amount of weeds pulled. Sean and I know have been doing some spraying, Justin's been doing some spraying as well. We do have the basketball court completed, two new basketball hoops are up. Went up relatively easily too, I think. I don't think it was really all that complicated of a project. We will have a new bench being put in by the playground, by the new concession stand, sometime yet this fall. It's a memorial bench that's being donated by a family. So they'll be doing the dirt work and the concrete soon. We have the bench already, and they'll be able to put that together. And then, as we go with the park trail system, we'll purchase the trash can ourselves and make sure that gets in there. Work on pedal pals continues to progress. We have a concept plan. It's been flagged out now for the first landscaping that we need to complete, so we'll probably be doing that in the next week and a half to 2 weeks. Just need to wait to get one of the bobcats is down, so we're trying to get that back from service right now. And sometime late this fall, we're thinking probably November, American Fence. Michael's fence is gonna be down to bump out the fence on the pool, on the south side, even with the fence behind the diving boards. So we've already started bringing dirt in there. We haven't decided what we're gonna put in there yet. The grass came back pretty well. inside the pool area, so, that's a possibility yet. I feel like a turf could obviously look at more concrete there as well, so,
I think something soft,
yeah,
just from what I've heard, people really like the grass plot, there just wasn't much of it.
yep, yep. Beyond that, I don't know that I have a whole lot. Justin?
The pool is drained. I scheduled the meeting with Carruthers, and they'll be taking place tomorrow. We're gonna go through, do some winterization. I have some power washing yet I have to do, just clean up a few spots, but should be pretty good.
Took about 3 days to drain completely, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
How does it drain? Like, is there?
It drains out of where the high dive is, there's those 2 spouts there.
Yeah, okay.
It just drains in through the bottom and then collects into the storm drain.
That's up from that pit. There's that pit just outside the fence on the west side.
Oh, okay.
Diving boards, it pops from there to the storm sewer. Which means the alarm is on for 4 days, but thankfully you can silence it. And that's one of the few alarms that doesn't call us in the middle of the night. Although we thought that maybe it should. That's all we've got.
Perfect.
I have a question. If Carruthers is coming tomorrow, who's all gonna be involved in that closeout process?
Joey with Carruthers, me, and I believe they have a plumber.
But nobody else from the city?
We get Kyle and,
I can talk right now. Yeah.
yeah.
I think we should have at least 2, if not whoever can just be part of that.
Okay.
More people that can pay attention to better, I was thinking, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. All right,
You know, reach out to him.
discretionary budget.
Nothing really new there, just wanted to bring everybody up to speed. We'll have our first reading of the budget ordinance tomorrow night at the council meeting. The only significant change that we've had on it is we had to set in stone that we have a match to the Wellmark grant for West Evergreen Park. So that's really the only specific change that came to happen in the discretionary budget. So that'll be next year's big project. We've signed the agreement already. So at this point, it's just a matter of getting the check and starting to make purchases and get it.
Is it gonna start in the spring?
Probably. Yeah, if we can get something done this fall, great. But, I think this fall is mostly gonna be planning getting prices on everything. We have had a couple of guys, as soon as the press release goes out, you get all these calls from the playground companies. So we've got like 3 quotes, I think, so far, that I haven't even looked at them yet. But, you know, I think it was 15,000 is what we put aside for the playground, which isn't much, but that's better than what's there. So.
Yeah.
The one at the new concession stand was right around 13.
Was it really?
So that, I mean, kids seem to really
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
There's no swings or anything, but I mean, they
You don't know
really like it over there, so.
There's
Remember
swings
we
there.
got that
Is
for
there-
I don't, it was a grant and it was just,
4 years ago, 3 years ago.
it was probably about 4 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, there's a swing thing there, so you could just leave the swings and just put them in there.
That had to go in just a couple of years ago.
You think it was?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Well,
gonna,
it probably says it right on the place that, where it's from.
Probably got a stamp on them.
Cause we were doing,
Cause it was when
We were
it was
doing the
after
other
the
concession.
concession came up.
yeah, I mean, we were in the works of it, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's about a couple of years ago, I think.
We
but-
were standing out there trying to figure out where to put it.
That's it.
So on that, we were gonna do some stuff with the softball field, and then I think there was some emails about a meeting. Did we have that meeting? Did that meeting get,
Yeah, we had the meeting.
oh crap.
I think we can have another meeting. I sent an email over to the guys in, I think it's Mankato, just to get the air line ordered. We figured about, I can't remember how many tons it was. Yeah, I think it was less than 250. But we got that in. I haven't heard back from them yet, but I think that's the first big step. And then as soon as we figure out what the last date that fall softball needs to fuel, I think then we can start doing some dirt work around it.
then wasn't there, somebody talked to Nate, right? Nelson, Nate?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so he,
Said he was busy at the moment, but thought he could do it probably late September, early October.
Kind of shoot it.
Survey.
That should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
But I was there the other day, just even parking along the street, just sitting in my car, like my eyeballs are even with third base, and first base is,
yeah.
Yep.
it's not as even as I even thought. Like, it's way off.
Yeah, this dirt work will be huge. Just for water displacement, it's not going to one,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna help 100% with, we have a bunch of water, cause the whole drainage is messed up, at least when we get an inch or something later on, then at least it will drain away.
Right.
Lose the
Well,
field
we
for a
can,
week.
at least we can, if we mount it like a field's supposed to be, some will go to the outfield, some will go,
Right.
I mean, right now it's all.
Dissipate it a little bit, yeah, okay.
I think the main concern when we were standing there is that, like you said, when you're on the street, there's a significant difference
Yeah.
between our first bases and third bases, and if we've got to mount that up,
Where does it go?
what do you do with the dugouts? And
I can't remember the price of that egg line, but I'm just thinking like if we can't really get it that even without some kind of drainage or something going to a street, like, I don't wanna throw money away just to see the egg line and wash away again.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things we're looking at for next year on infrastructure side is to get at least something done on South Elm. So if we can, we'd like to get that done next year. It's not a long-term fix, it's gonna be a temporary fix, but it'll at least get some water moving along that street, so.
Oh, so like curb and gutter and something.
Well, it's got curb and gutter, it's just flat as a pancake, I mean, water doesn't have anywhere to go, so it just sits in that gutter mostly on the east side, to get a little bit on the west side too.
Sweet, all right, new business. West Evergreen Park.
Yeah, I would like to talk about a couple things at West Evergreen. I was there on Saturday for a few hours, and I could only get one of the lights out of the creative work. I don't know if a light's really necessary in the shelter, but I did get the outlet working. I took some of the fixtures off the light where the light bulbs are, and they were cracked and busted up, so.
Okay.
And they're just not fixable, so if we do want to put lights in there, the fixtures will have to be replaced. 7 more wasp nests knocked down, so that was a total of 43.
he's counting.
I got 3 things I'm afraid of, I lost one of them.
Am I number 2?
Yeah, you're up there. And then I know we talked about this a couple months ago, I would like to propose to the city to rename it from West Evergreen to Lady Royal Park. I don't know if I have support on that from the board, or if I just need to go to the city council and just recommend it on my own, or if we need to vote on it, or. And that's
I
okay.
think it would be nice to have the recommendation of the park board, for whatever name goes there.
Yeah, I did talk to Chad Conway, and he didn't see like a conflict with the school or whatever. I just think it's a nice gesture for the female community, kids and adults, having kind of a volleyball theme. And if we do have playground bits coming in, maybe even putting up black and white and orange stuff, and I think it would be cool.
I think the time is right. Part of that Walmart grant was to get new things for the park, so, before we start that process with, I would imagine Randy, and it would make sense for us to figure out, are we sticking with West Evergreen, or is it time to name it something else?
No, I think we should name it something else, but I don't have any problem with
Where did West Evergreen originate from? I mean, was it?
Yeah.
There used to be a line of evergreen trees along
on
the
the
west
west
side
side
of
of
our
our
property.
There's 2 or 3 of them now, but Tina said there used to be a whole bunch of them. Maybe there's Cassie about it too, so there used to be a whole bunch of evergreens there.
If it was somebody's last name, I think that we would want to be more cautious in
Right.
changing it, but I don't see any reason why that would be sentimental to anybody, and I support wholly what you said. I think that would be great.
Do we want any recommendations from the community or something on renaming it? Or suggestions for a name? I'm not saying stay okay with
No,
it.
it's-
We can, if the board wants to go that direction, we can put one of our survey monkey poles out.
Do we want to do a survey with a couple options, or
Yeah.
leave it open?
I think you gotta throw in a couple out, when you leave it open, you're gonna
You
get,
got 80 different
yeah, you're
names.
not gonna be able to shift.
Well, it just might, but it's something I just, not Lady Or find me too, but once you name it, you'd like to make sure that it stays or whatever, right? So somebody might have a really cool, to still do the same thing.
See, I think that's the problem, is we don't have any other ideas, right? And so we have one idea, we can't really survey 3 options when we have one. And not that I wanna just leave it open, but if we have a couple of different options, at least gives us ideas. I don't know.
Jason Plus Park is another.
No, that's not gonna happen, but.
Are there any other ideas, I guess?
Yeah, there you go. I'll take that one.
I
I
heard,
see them there practicing all the time.
I heard we're getting another match to that fund, and so we can call it Duchesne Park.
Lady Duchesne.
Yeah.
Improve the playground feature.
Could have been a rumor.
Yeah.
I think since nobody else has any other options, really our only choices are to leave it open or move forward with Lady O Park.
And if the board doesn't like it, they can say no. I mean, come up with a better name or just leave it as is. It's fine.
So you like Lady Oriole or Lady O?
I like Lady Oriole better, just because I don't just didn't like Lady O that much.
That's not my skill set, being creative, so, so, yeah, whatever, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I
so
spent a month trying to figure out something that still hate.
I've coached 11 youth girls teams, whether it's volleyball, basketball, softball, and that's just always what we break with. And I don't know.
Yeah, even the ones I coach, that's what we, Lady O, we always do
Yeah,
that.
the second graders in volleyball the other day, they couldn't think of anything. That's what they broke with.
Yeah, it's the fallback.
I think if that's the direction the board wants to go, I would suggest a motion renaming it, and then a vote tonight to recommend that name to the council.
I'll make a motion to recommend the change of West Evergreen Park name to Lady Orioles Park.
I second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Do we have anything else that relates to West Evergreen?
Nate and you and I had talked, and Justin, when we were there initially, kind of measuring stuff out, and I was there again, like I said, Saturday. I think it would be really cool to get some tiling in along, is it Jefferson, on the very west side of town, Cleveland, and then put in parking on the west side of where the volleyball courts would be.
So, at the corner of
So-
Cleveland and Ford,
Yeah, where the ditch is on the east side, you had mentioned putting in some kind of culvert or something, and putting gravel over the top. of it.
yeah, it's the only way we could do a parking lot over there is if we were,
And it'd probably be 10 like vertical spots, I mean, it wouldn't be huge, but.
let me talk to the county, since we'd have to, it's their right of way, so you'd have to get their permission essentially to use it, or to have driveways, those kind of things.
Just. Oh, and the shelter needs shingles
Yes.
or steel. I think the shingles would be about $300 if I could do that.
And it's not that big.
So, falling is a nail gun, I got a ladder. Done pretty quick.
Let me look over our, insurance inventory first, so we may have actually had a claim in the past on this,
Oh,
so let me check in on that.
All right, anything else? All right, let's move to the skate park. Foss Memorial Skate Park.
There was something on the city website, a discussion, there's a gentleman by the name of Maxwell Redmond who helped get a grant to put in that skate park, and he sent me a link from True Ride, where you can get that material to replace a couple.
Oh, the rubber?
Yeah, yep.
Perfect.
And he thought maybe even if we contact the company, they'd have to do is Minnesota, like maybe they would come and fix it for free. If not, that's where you would order the stuff to replace it. It looked like there was probably 2 or 3, like, about 4x4 sheets that
Yep.
you're replacing. They seem a little bit bigger, I bet they're 4.5 by 4.5, which seems like an odd.
I've got the measurements
Okay.
in the office. I think Caleb took them this summer, so.
Yeah, I seen them out there measuring a couple times. And then there's just some loose boards and stuff. I'll get out there and screw them a little tighter. And
No wasps out there this time?
now I was out there.
They were terrible there last year.
At the skate park?
And like along the sides, like the screws are, the wood's a little rotty, you just put a screw in a different spot, and that's probably where they're getting at.
Yeah.
And then any other gaps I see, I'll just fill in with some foam and try to stop.
Justin, you wanna reach out to that company?
Yeah, what would you say that was, True Ride?
Yeah, True Ride.
Okay.
TRUERIDE.com.
Perfect. Anything else for the skate park?
It says there's a section on the website where you can order material, but contact them to see if they'll come and do it for free or have someone come out with it.
Okay.
All right, so let's go to the soccer program.
The soccer program has been underway right now. It's been going pretty well. Stopped there on Saturday and checked out the practice and gave each coach a bottle of hand sanitizer just to have extra precaution. Other than that, it's been going well so far.
How many kids did we have signed up this year?
37.
Does anybody know how that compares?
It's lower than usual.
Is it?
Normally it's like 60 or 70, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They split the teams up into smaller teams this year, which has been nice. Keeps the kids like we only have, they play 4-on-4. And I think Saturday we only had 5 kids on our team, so, I mean,
They're all getting plenty of chance to play.
yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like you really know soccer really well.
I know.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
So it's just,
I think if the board were
Throwing
willing
it
to
out there.
entertain a motion to
I'll take on
Kelsey chair
soccer.
of the soccer.
That's fine. I can handle it. I'll have a kid in it for 3 more years.
I'm serious.
I-
Maybe one of our new people can
Do team
tackle T-ball.
That's fine.
did, has Tina been helping with that, Cassie, at all, or not?
Tina came
Sorry.
the first Saturday and made sure everything was fine. And everything, everybody had what they needed. And then Justin was there last Saturday. So and then we didn't have a game, Labor Day weekend, so.
And it's a thing where each team gets a coach. The coach goes and gets to sit around and pick the teams. It's just the same,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Correct. And it's K through 2.
We have to make a motion to make Kelsey the new
Yeah.
lead of soccer.
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
The soccer guru.
I make a motion to make
I second.
Kelsey the president of soccer.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
I,
Opposed?
Justin knows how to
Motion
do it.
carried.
gotta make it official, I can't back out.
Is anybody taking notes this one or?
It's
I didn't put that down.
It's permanent.
It's been etched in stone.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to pool project donor sign.
So we moved the, kind of the installation of the donor sign to spring just because of some material, changes in material, what's available and the cost and all of that. And Nate and I talked and we thought it would be valuable to have kind of a grand opening for the sign rather than just throwing it together this fall and putting it up and nobody can really go look at it before winter, so. We just thought that would be valuable. So we did go with the local sign, the one that we talked about changing the little wave on it. So moving forward with that. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Randy Williamson is the designer's name.
Perfect. Baseball.
Just because it's on the agenda doesn't mean we have to talk about it.
Yeah, well, my only question on that, where are we with getting uniforms back and equipment?
We've gotten most, there's a couple people yet that have to turn in a couple uniforms, just shirts and stuff like that.
Coaches or parents?
Parents.
Okay.
Equipment, I believe is all turned in. We had the equipment checking, and everybody brought their stuff back. There is some equipment that we're gonna need to replace and repair. I have yet to have to go and do that yet, just to go through.
Have
sort
we
out.
inventoried that stuff and kind of, you know, what we have? Do we know how many bags we have? I mean, it'd be really nice to know this is what we have.
Yeah, that's
Baseball
all
bags,
planned
softball
for this
bags.
fall and winter to get
Yeah.
a full inventory.
Because we don't have to wait on getting that stuff last minute in
No.
April or May.
No,
If we
what
know,
we'll likely do is do that in January, February, is when we'll order equipment and
Yeah,
do
it's-
that here.
Yeah, you get it in January, it's usually cheaper than it is if you get it in.
well, it'd just be nice to actually have a document that
Yes,
says exactly what we have.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that doesn't come back. And so, you know, we could easily inventory against that document.
yep, absolutely. One of the things I wanna put out there as a possibility for next year, and again, I don't think we need to talk about this tonight, but, Keegan's doing soccer and T this fall, and parents are responsible for picking up equipment, uniforms, they give a deposit on the uniform and the equipment, and if it's not returned, you lose the deposit. And I think coaches have a lot of responsibility for keeping track of this stuff when they really,
I mean, I think it's a great idea. We pushed it over a couple different times. The hard time we always had is we didn't have somebody like Justin to be able to run it or to be there on those when they have to come back and the ones that can't make it, to be able to stop by the city and get the check and all that. But yeah, T does that for all their programs, like soccer and everything.
it works really well.
And it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the deposit on the equipment would come back to the coach, right, because they get
Yes,
it back.
yeah.
Right.
So really, the parents would just have a deposit on the jersey.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's one thing if stuff is lost, it's another thing if something over the course of summer breaks, I mean, that's gonna happen. But I think the larger concern is not getting equipment and uniforms back.
I had one softball coach tell me this year that helmets are provided to baseball players. Is that true?
No.
I didn't think so.
No baseball, or no helmets, no bats. They
I've
always
never
like to
seen,
say-
I've never seen 150 baseball helmets in a helmet.
Plus, you wouldn't want, I mean, each kid should have their own helmet for
Right.
numerous reasons.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like Subsidy, you know, you get some equipment and they give you 5 helmets. And they're crap, but.
Well, and they're also lights or, you know. what I mean?
That's
I mean,
exactly.
I just think from our program, we should have really good equipment and really good uniform. It's not that we can't do that from a budget perspective, it's that we never get it back. Or we don't do a very good job of inventorying it, and we just,
No, one of the things that, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that one of the things on the schedule for this fall and winter was to get an inventory done,
Yep.
not just of equipment, but what's in the bar shop, what's in the concession stands,
You know,
and make sure that we've got a good set going into next year.
and even if you do that inventory, I mean, obviously catcher's gear always looks crappy, but, you know, it could be a quality too, right? You know what I mean?
they're missing buckle or.
Yeah, or, you know,
Yeah.
something like that, just so we can kinda, some of that stuff can be repaired and stuff like, but we should, we just need to know. And we've never done that, it's not just, you know, I mean, once again, we're talking year 7, and we, you know what I mean? We've never done it, but it is frustrating, cause parents complain or coaches,
Yep.
and we spend a lot of money on it, but we just haven't done our part to make sure that it's square.
So Justin and I were in the concessions during baseball drop-off, and it seemed like every coach had at least 24 baseballs. The one coach that was claiming not, you know, that he purchased his own baseballs, dropped his stuff off early. But I know the assistant coach pretty well, and he said there was not an issue with the amount of baseballs they were providing.
Well, and that process too should be, hey, here's your game balls, then they become practice
Yeah,
balls. You
yeah.
really shouldn't really have to buy many practice balls. If you
Right.
buy game balls and they end up back, you know what I mean? And they're, it's just, but every year we buy buckets, and we're never got enough, but
other than that, I don't think I haven't heard anything since our last meeting on baseball, so I guess there's one other thing, so where are we on, where are we on, procedures, you know what I mean, in our documentation and putting together what we had talked about in that meeting, are we anywhere?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
That'll be a later fall thing.
Okay.
Perfect, let's go to softball.
No, I want to talk about baseball first. So I was involved in
I'm
one,
just joking.
in one baseball meeting this year. It was 8U baseball, and it's people incorporated. And we had a coach who was interested in coaching until they found out teams were selected, and then they didn't want to coach anymore. I just think in the future we should have a discussion about baseball coaches selecting their teams. I think maybe that's why a lot of baseball coaches want to coach. It just, I know in softball we do things a little differently. We don't really allow the coaches to select players because it's caused problems in the past.
Well, at 8U, they don't. It doesn't start till 9-10,
Well, they did at
They
8U.
did this year.
They did.
yeah.
and that shouldn't be, because as far as I know, 8U, I don't think we've ever had them. They've never been part of our process for picking players.
Well, they should
I
have
think
acted
that's-
like it.
It just
Whatever
seemed,
the process is for team selection or coach selection needs to be laid out. in the
Right, in that
policy,
document,
yeah.
And are these policies something that you guys are providing, like and then we go through and say, I mean, are you providing the
We'll
template or
draft it.
whatever?
The park board will review it and recommend it, and
And
then
then
it'll go to
city,
city
okay.
council, yeah. And we'll plaster it all over our Facebook, all over our website, all over
And
our
it's
Park and
so-
Rec
A
website.
lot of it,
Put it-
it is
put
on
it
the
up.
website, it's just hard to find, so just so you know when you're pulling it.
Well, and then I think post it
So,
on every dugout, on the inside. I mean, so do we it's there, it's
That
there,
answers math.
it's there, I mean,
It's really, most people that have played baseball for the last however so many years don't really have any real issue. But the thing is, we just don't have a document that when we do have a problem, that we can go back and say, this is that. And you always get the problem with people every year, whoever they might be, but we need the backup of that document that says, okay, this is why this is that way. 90% don't have an issue, 95 or whatever it might be, it's just a few, and so.
it's always down.
do we wanna have a work session this fall to go through that, or would it be more valuable to send something out and then we bring our recommendations? I just feel like when we assign work outside of the meeting, it doesn't, I'm not saying that
I mean,
we don't
could-
all get it done, but I know we're busy.
I think it
so-
would be helpful
Oh, yeah.
from a staff perspective to have at least, there's a lot of background and ways we've done it before that haven't worked, that we're going to need as we're drafting this. So I do think a work session would make sense.
Can we just print, if you bring what we have now, and we can just go through it together?
Yes,
There are some now, there's
Yes.
policies out there,
There are.
there's a hodgepodge of different
they're,
things.
and the ones that we approved, whether it was earlier this year or later last year, they're minimal. I mean,
Yeah.
there's very little there, so.
Perfect, all right, softball.
all right, Nate Nielsen said you would help us survey the field, cover. We're missing one softball bag.
Is it yours?
Is it mine?
Yeah.
Are you looking at Okay, now wait a second.
It's Heidi's.
It's Heidi Bauer's bag, let's just clear that up.
We know the assistant coach. So Justin, you want to follow up with one or two coaches?
Bring a baseball bat. Maybe a horse head.
Uncle Tony too. I did go through all the equipment. Justin, we need one new bag. Remember that? 4 first aid kits. Each bag had at least 12 balls in it and working catcher's gear. So with those, I mean, they had at least 12 softballs in there. So next year they'll each get a new box of balls, so they'll be at 24. So equipment's good, not really documented, but it's in my head.
Mobile spreadsheet.
I was in there in the concession stands. This has always made me a little nervous during fall ball. but the bags were moved around. We have 2 bags of like older catcher's gear. One of them was wide open. I could tell it was kind of rummaged through a little bit. Even if stuff was missing, it's old stuff that Darren and I found across the street. Just makes me kind of nervous having all that softball gear out there with non-city coaches having access to it, but
We talked about at one time putting like locks on the shelving, like having some kind of shelving that has locks on it.
I think we maybe could just put a gate across.
Yeah, or a gate.
That's what I was
Gate
thinking.
across,
Yeah.
right where that, there's the big door, just at the edge of the concession, straight across with a
Is there
bad
any,
lock.
is there any reason we couldn't keep all the equipment in the park shop?
Well, one, because we don't have access, the coaches and most of our group doesn't have access to the park shop.
And then they have to move it every single season, beginning and end, and just make it, I just feel like.
So that's accessible for coaches.
Right.
Okay.
And
It's
even
needed.
us,
Yeah.
if, Sean's, we've got kind of full access to that building. If it's the park shop, we don't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mice in there. So,
The park shop, yeah.
park shop, yeah.
Well, we lost 2 roll-offs worth of old, useless stuff out of there this summer, so there's a lot.
Yeah, I saw one of those, I was like, some random stuff in there.
Yes, there was. There's gonna be some really random stuff on the, surplus auction later this year.
Sweet, that it for softball?
Just one more follow-up on Sean, that concern. I don't know that we asset tag any of our park equipment, and maybe we should do that as well. We will be doing that with all of our equipment in Public Works and here at City Hall and at plant, those kinds of things, so,
You talking like a sticker, or
yeah, somehow tag it.
I can make up stickers for really cheap, just something simple to put on.
Yep.
I'll shoot them, so I'll shoot something, yeah.
It's one of those things that we'll be looking to do with a lot of other inventory stuff, so.
If you're going to do that for like the equipment in the bags, if you could somehow identify it to each bag. So like if my team's playing Kelsey's team, her equipment's identified as number 2 and mine's number 1,
Yes.
because it goes with that bag.
Yes, that would ideally be where we get by next spring.
Because otherwise
I don't
we're
know if we'll
just-
be there or not with
Right.
Park and Rec stuff,
Yeah,
but
we're just taking a permanent marker and writing Mauer. I'm not saying this has ever happened, but on the softball.
it's hypothetical.
That only makes you a coach every year, though, just let you know that too.
Right. It's permanent.
Sweet, all right. Ex-T-ball person / new soccer person?
I don't have anything, you're still missing my bag that's in there.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
T-ball
Good
bags got
guess.
back too. T-ball part of that. Were they part of that? No, turn in? Cause all those guys have a T-ball bag, all those coaches.
We can follow up with.
so I put those at the top right. I think we had 5 at the beginning of the year.
At one point, we had like 15. So, another thing that walks off. Those are really easy because they're just a little bag with
Yeah.
balls in them. But the other thing is that we had, and once again, come back to inventory, we had some nice Tanner tees, that they're the nice heavy base to them. One was down for T-ball down there. They also don't break apart. We had some nice, hitting nets. So this asset tagging thing, and we get a lot from Chevy too, but that would be awesome to make sure we kept track of that stuff.
It needs to be kept at like those tees, we need to keep them at the T-ball field.
There's one really nice tee down there, and then Chevy's probably given us, we probably have 30 tees there, like Chevy tees that we
There's
could
some in
almost.
boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
in the new
boxes we could
concession.
give out to parents even, for that matter. But the nice one that we use for games should be there. I mean, that's
It's getting,
If we have enough, we could put them in the we don't give T-ball equipment bag, but we give balls, don't
we
we?
give a ball bag, yeah.
We
So you-
could put, if there's enough, we could do that, and then
Put a
they
tee
have
with
their
each
balls.
team.
those tees are just, you put them all together, and they're bolted together, and they're huge.
Oh, they're bolted together?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I thought, like I have one on the top, just sits into it, it's cheap though.
Yeah. I mean, we should get some of those Chevy things out, but also just make sure that our nice ones, they'll eventually need to have the tops fixed or.
But think about the equipment that you pick up for any sport. Like if I'm gonna coach T-ball, and we have a whole bunch of them, I could easily pick up a tee in a bag. It's not like it takes up that much room in the garage or anything.
Yeah,
Right,
well, and it's several times a summer that one of us are running a tee to a coach because they don't have a key
And you're
or whatever.
practicing at weird spots
Yes, yeah.
where there's not, like every Sunday, I go and get a tee or.
I mean, there's so many tees
That's why I
that
think-
nobody should have a problem with that. That one Tanner tee though, that's nice because it's got that different top on it,
Yes.
right? So when the kids hit it, they're not hitting this big.
And that needs to
lump.
stay in the field. for
That's
the
kind of
games.
the game,
Yes.
the game more.
100%.
And then if they're practicing down there, that's fine, but
I do think if we have,
How many
that's a good
coaches
idea.
do we have this year? How many teams were there?
There's like 12 coaches.
Yeah, so we could talk about that later.
Well, Chevy's
I
gonna
think
give us
that's
a whole
good
other-
idea.
truckload next year, so we
Yeah.
gotta get rid of it. Eventually it's gonna end up surplus stuff in the city office.
Right.
Because they give
Well,
us
they're
so
not
much stuff.
getting used.
I know,
right
they're in
now.
boxes. I go pick them all up and bring them there.
Now, there's a bunch of Chevy stuff that hasn't been touched yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this Spidey?
Sorry. We're on camera.
This is gonna be awesome to view on YouTube later.
Yeah.
Are you seeing things?
I had to help her.
Bird poop on them?
A
No.
spider or a bug?
The bees, run for your life!
Okay, is anybody can you see if anybody's watching?
I couldn't sit here and watch it.
All right, so
I'm
is
very
that it for T-ball?
Thank you.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, past inspector, so that's it for T-ball. We're going to move to new park board member recommendations.
So do we go to executive session or do I recommend?
You gotta have to do a motion.
A motion to go to executive session for this part of the meeting.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion for executive session. It's been seconded. All in favor?
I.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We're in executive session.
Not quite.
Well, we will.
Just didn't want anybody to.